So I've talked about some characters in Five Nights at Freddy's having their roles changed in the past. Like having personality changes or even having their position as a major character changed, so on and so forth. It happens. But there is one character who has had such a bizarre transformation in how the series treats them that it's worth taking note of. We are talking about Toy Freddy. Toy Freddy is one of the most confused characters in Five Nights at Freddy's. That's a pretty big statement to make, but it's true. Out of every character who fills their niche or role in the Fnaf franchise, Toy Freddy is the one that stands out to me as having the most amount of restructuring. Now, you're probably furrowing your brow at this because we're talking about Toy Freddy the Plastic Bear. I've said characters have been overlooked and underestimated in the past, but Toy Freddy is like the unnoticed sixth child in a family of 9, not even able to reap the benefits of middle child syndrome. Or at least, he was for some time. But little did anyone know, but Toy Freddy was eventually going to be an icon in his own right. Though, not in the way he might have expected, if Toy Freddy has any thoughts in that potato-shaped head of his. Beyond the constant focus on making sure he doesn't topple over and take out a table. Yes, that half-baked joke at his expense is foreshadowing. Let's begin with Fnaf 2, where Toy Freddy was the new Freddy at a recently opened pizzeria. Wanting to overcome the rumors of the past, Freddy's was reopened with a new slew of shiny animatronics with fancy schmancy facial recognition to catch any criminals before they could snatch kids. All while the old man was shoved into the back. Toy Freddy was the new Freddy, and alas, he was dealt an unfortunate hand by his position in the game. He wasn't the only Freddy, he wasn't the most eye-catching of his bandmates, his gimmicks were basic and didn't allow him to stand out. No minigames, no cutscenes, nothing to help Toy Freddy be his own person. This and his dopey appearance led to him developing that other one syndrome. That's not to say that people disliked Toy Freddy, it was just that there was a lot of indifference. Pretty much everybody else had something in their favor compared to him. Toy Freddy's remains appeared in Fnaf 3 in the part box, and as a toy in Fnaf 4, but these are blink and you'll miss some cameos, so they don't really help his case. His next real appearance was in Fnaf World, and didn't do him any favors either. Toy Freddy's design was changed to make him look a little less like a potato and a little more like Freddy. You would think that this would benefit him, but between his weak moveset and the fact that there's like 6 other Freddy Fazbears, Toy Freddy didn't stand a chance. In fact, ironically, him getting a less potato body made him blend in more with classic Freddy. But a few characters did get extra little boosts in Fnaf World. Toy Chica got her voice early, JJ got a voice, Foxy got that funky minigame, Toy Freddy got nothing. As a matter of fact, after this point Toy Freddy disappeared for a long period of time, only returning for Ultimate Custom Night when nearly every animatronic returned alongside him. With characters like Toy Bonnie and Toy Chica returning with their same mechanics, but new voice lines complementing their personalities. Personalities that one could have reasonably guessed from their appearances. It seemed like Toy Freddy might get a little character building. Though with classic Freddy not getting this luxury, it wasn't guaranteed. What happened instead was at best an exciting new take on a characterization of an animatronic, and at worst, character assassination. But can you assassinate a character with no personality? Well, you can try. Toy Freddy, the dopey forgotten Freddy, became an angry gamer, one who is notably bad at playing even a basic game, a Mr. Hugs and Trash game parody of Fnaf, and coerces the player into playing it for him, and if they lose, he gets salty and jump scares them, berating them and blaming his poor skills on his chubby fingers. His dopey voice matches his design and only punctuates his pitiful attempts at blaming the player for losing.
It's not my fault. I have these fat plastic fingers and can't press the buttons. That's what you get for leaving me hanging.
You know those parodies of gamer nerds who are permanently online? The ones that are sort of like comic book guy, but not successful enough to run their own business? Yeah, there's Toy Freddy. He had finally come into his own, but not as an endearing character. Toy Freddy became the stereotype. A parody filling in for an otherwise non-existent personality. A peculiar decision, especially since at the time, and arguably even until now, He's really the only character who has been portrayed in such a tongue-in-cheek way. Though, maybe that was for the best. I mean, it made Toy Freddy finally stand out, even if it didn't make him seem like a necessarily likable character. But why this decision? And was this really the moment when Toy Freddy became a joke? I seem to recall people joking at his expense before this. Well, I have a theory, but we'll come back to that. Because after this moment, it got even stranger. So I was obviously exaggerating about Toy Freddy's character assassination. Again, he didn't have a character before Ultimate Custom Night, and this appearance introduced his own unique gameplay and a standout personality. It just more or less solidified the joke character status that the bear had started to slide his fragile shins into. But compared to being nothing, it was a step up. So what was the next step for Toy Freddy? Well, he had an appearance in Help Wanted's remake of Fnaf 2. Toy Freddy's toddling walk cycle could finally be witnessed in its full glory as he struts towards the office. Though that was his only real contribution, save an action figure of him as a prize. It wasn't until Fnaf AR that Toy Freddy was brought back again for a significant role, and that's when the weirdness returned with a vengeance. Toy Freddy was one of the animatronics brought on where he could be fought with help from the newly implemented mask mechanic. Toy Freddy got his fair share of skins, one of which got a plethora of merchandise, being VR Toy Freddy. Initially looking purple and wearing a headset, VR Freddy turns a sharp reddish orange and gets bright glowing green eyes with cracks stemming from them, losing his headset. The other two suits are Woodland Toy Freddy, a wooden statue of an animatronic with mushrooms growing off of him and a walking stick, and Aeronaut Toy Freddy, a steampunk-dressed bear. Of these, my favorite has to be Woodland Toy Freddy, and I wish that all of the Woodlands would have had this hollowed-out tree look, even if I do like Swamp Balloon Boy. But now on to the more important part. What about Toy Freddy's personality? Fnaf AR's voice lines have been notorious in adding extra personality onto characters who initially didn't have them. Things like adding in Mangle having a second voice that it speaks through, and Toy Bonnie's whole chipmunk thing, and Freddy's actual voice. All of those were added in Fnaf AR. So, what's the deal with Toy Freddy? Well, one of his skins has a headset on, so I'm assuming that we're looking at a gamer again. Right? Well, let's take a listen.
Did I overhear that someone needs a friend? I've got a special present just for you.
You probably didn't notice it yet. Here's a few more lines.
Oh, are we playing hide and seek now? You aren't as good at hiding as you think you are, you know. Would you like to play some more? This is fun. Catch me if you can.
Fnaf AR actually pulled back on the joke character thing. Sure, Toy Freddy's still goofy and his lines indicate some tongue-in-cheekness, but it's nowhere near the degree that it was in the last appearance. In fact, Toy Freddy now has a remarkably fleshed out personality. Toy Freddy has an edge of a sinister tone, like all the others, but in many of his lines, he's also portrayed as being genuinely playful and friendly. He often jokes at the player's expense, but not always in a way that's immediately insulting.
Are you sure you want that as your hiding place?
He also seems a little naive and shows genuine concern for the player in this one line.
Hello? Hello? Why won't you say something?
Toy Freddy seems to be very work-oriented. Yeah, I know, that's a weird thing to say, but he comes to be a friend, often voices lines like he's playing around, offers to sing a patented jingle.
Would you like to hear one of my copyrighted jingles? Time for one of my patented jingles.
This could all be an act, but it's possible that Toy Freddy is not really aware of what he's doing and really thinks that he's playing a game, that he's performing at a party. While his one recycled line from Ultimate Custom Night seems to go against this,
that's what you get for leaving me hanging.
The rest would line up rather well with this. And compared to his brief portrayal in Ultimate Custom Night, this is so much more nuanced. He's not a joke character. He is a real character with a distinct personality from the others. Even if it's supposed to still be a little comical, it's not nearly as in-your-face. He doesn't feel like a self-reference. He feels much more in-universe, you know? And you could say that this is a meta reference to how Ultimate Custom Night characters are interpretations or constructs of the souls that created it, while Toy Freddy is closer to how the character is portrayed in reality. And that does sound about right, but I'm still kind of surprised that there wasn't a double downing into the angry gamer thing and instead reined him back in and turned him into a true character. That's like the reverse of what you'd expect. Since then, Toy Freddy had a cameo in some pictures in Security Breach, and I think he was likely on an arcade cabinet, but hasn't had any other appearances. So as far as we know, this is what Toy Freddy's story ends on, a surprisingly high note. From his humble beginnings to his gamer days to his transformation into a real bear, and now all we have left to wonder is what exactly happened. Why did Toy Freddy become a joke character in the first place? Well, the simplest and most likely explanation is that there simply wasn't much ado about Toy Freddy, and the only way to spice him up was to poke fun at him. Truthfully, that probably is the truth. Except, Toy Freddy was already becoming the butt of the joke before Ultimate Custom Night. He wasn't a huge meme magnet that I'm aware of, but he wasn't getting off scot-free. He had gotten sort of a reputation, perhaps from Reddit, maybe from YouTube, and while Salty Gamer wasn't the expected Toy Freddy, him being a walking gag wasn't a big surprise. But what could have caused this change? Again, it was likely just his appearance and lack of popularity. But as I was checking the dates, I noticed that there was one appearance of Toy Freddy's that occurred in the middle of this shift in perception. Except it wasn't an official appearance. It was a fan game. I suspect that this was what led to the general change in view of Toy Freddy, and that fan game was Dayshift at Freddy's. You might not recognize the name, but you'll probably recognize these two. Dayshift at Freddy's was a parody Fnaf game filled with crude humor, memes, and an unexpected amount of heart, and sheer heart-wrenching pain whenever it decided to tug at the heartstrings with its surprisingly complex roller coaster of a story. Needless to say, Dayshift at Freddy's was one of the most unique fan games of its time, despite the fact that it wasn't a traditional Survive the Nights game. In fact, that's likely why it did get so popular. The game involves you playing as a worker at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, where you play with spring locks, deliver pizzas, and try to not get killed by the amount of negligence and crazy goings-on in the establishment. Put on the sweaty bear suit and dance for the kids, but do a flip and it's night-night forever. Don't tick off the phone either, he's pretty trigger-happy and he knows exactly how to hide a body. You are also dragged into the shenanigans of a one Dave Miller, the purple guy, a kebab-eating kitty strangler with a heavy Brooklyn accent and a growing obsession for the walking tangerine you play as. So where does Toy Freddy come into all this? Toy Freddy is surprisingly a major player for Dayshift at Freddy's too. That is, he is the butt of plenty of jokes, gets numerous cutaway segments such as when the player does a Toy Freddy Choose Your Own Adventure and Toy Freddy sings Space Odyssey, and even gets his own exclusive ending. His major gimmick being that he is the plastic bear whom nobody likes, whom toddlers kick the shins of, and who is constantly in a state of suffering. Toy Freddy is both a tragic and comedic character, one who may deserve a hug, but then he gives you that look and suddenly you take it back. Ironically enough, Toy Freddy gets more to do than any of the other animatronics in this game, toy or withered, save the puppet for understandable reasons. He is a shining star, or a raging dumpster fire. Now, I can't prove that this was the game or this was the appearance that led to Toy Freddy becoming a community joke, which then could have led to his portrayal in Ultimate Custom Night, but the timing seems to click, and admittedly, I can't remember any other games at this time that had Toy Freddy in a significant way. Though Toy Freddy was hardly the only thing that Dayshift at Freddy's brought to the Fnaf fanbase, so it wouldn't be too much of a shock. I choose to believe that Toy Freddy's fate was decided by this obscurely popular Fnaf fan game about tickle fingers, sudden death, tangerines, and eggplants, and at least one ending where you get an eggplant shoved up. That's not important. What is important is that I was able to talk about Dayshift at Freddy's today, and that is worth the lack of credibility. Because the truth is that Scott likely never heard of Dayshift at Freddy's and just turned Toy Freddy into a joke because he was such an uninspired lump of clay. Rip Toy Freddy's shins, and thank you for watching.